Welcome to a new episode of the Rectified Podcast. Today, my guest is Marilyn Austin, one of the co-founders of Hempress Hygienics. Marilyn, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Marilyn, let's start with the obvious question. What is Hempress Hygienics?
Yes. So Hempress Hygienics is a hemp-based period and personal care company. So if you're wondering what that means, we have day pads, like period care products. So day pads, night pads, liners. We also have a menstrual cup. And then on the personal care side of things, we have cosmetic rounds like cotton rounds, Q-tips, and wipes.
Yeah, I noticed that. At first, I thought you were only doing like period products, but then I'm like, they have Q-tips and they have, the cotton pads. They're not cotton, but you know what I mean.
Yes, like rounds.
Yeah. So, Marilyn, tell us a little bit about yourself. Like, what's your background and what brought you to create this brand?
Yeah, so actually, we started the company as college students. And so I have a small background, but a lot of my experience has been just in starting this company. So it was 2019 when we founded the company. I was a senior in college and I was going to school at Oregon State University, where there was a hemp innovation center. And so what kind of spurred the start to the company is I was getting a lot of information about hemp and all of the amazing sustainability and performance advantages of it. And that same year, hemp became legalized in the United States. It previously, hemp fiber wasn't able to be used in commercial settings. And so after December 2018, coming into 2019, it was. So myself and my co-founder, McKenna Avery, she went to San Diego State, actually. We were both really passionate about sustainability, and we just got on the topic of, have you heard of hemp? It has all these amazing benefits. It can make, a more sustainable future, biodegradable. And we wanted to put that into a commercial setting. So we did period care and personal care. Now, because I was in college, I couldn't just start the company like this. I didn't have the connections, the money to do that. So I did get a job. I interned at TD Ameritrade, and then I worked in wealth management at Bank of America for 2 years, kind of while we bootstrapped the business. And then after 2 years of that, I was able to go full time with Hempress. Classic entrepreneurship. It was not a linear path. So at a point I had to get another job to help, fund myself, fund the business. And I got a job at a company called Climate Transformed, which did climate-oriented investing. So it kind of merged my love of sustainability and my experience in wealth management. And so I did that for about a year and then was able to come back full-time at Hempress and launch just in August of 2023.
Yeah, that's more aligned with your brand than working in wealth management alone.
Yes.
So the second job is more like connected sort of to your brand.
Absolutely.
Marilyn, I read a lot, I see a lot, but not everybody knows about what's going on with the period care industry, the products, what's good, what's bad. Like, we're using these things, but I know, but I don't know if everybody else knows because I read a lot about it. The harm that some of these products make. So what makes the difference between hemp, and there's a lot more made of like organic cotton and other fibers, and everything else, like the regular stuff that we know since ages. So what's the difference?
Yeah, I could talk forever on this. So to do a kind of a brief summary. So to start off, we have your traditional period care brands. Think of, Always, Playtex, Kotex. Those are kind of the brands that we think about when we wanted to make these changes of making the products more clean. So they're primarily made of plastic or plastic similar products, aka viscose and rayon, which is a synthetic,
very bad,
basically plastic. So that's what they're completely made of. Some high level statistics is a traditional pad has 4 plastic bags worth of plastic in it and also takes 500 to 800 years to decompose. Not only that, but they often use chlorine bleach and a lot of chemicals in the processing, which when they're in your body are endocrine disruptors, can cause irritation, toxic shock syndrome. If you're a woman, you've probably been aware of a lot of these risks. So the organic period care came out like around 2015, and they have been amazing. It's primarily cotton, and there's also some with bamboo. So what makes hemp different? Number one, literally every single organic period care brand on the market is just an organic top sheet. So the top sheet is organic cotton. The rest of the product is still synthetic materials, basically viscose, a material called sap, and a material called wood pulp. Our product is fully organic through the full thing. And then when it comes to just base comparisons, hemp, cotton, bamboo. Bamboo is viscose. So viscose is basically, it starts from a plant substance and gets chemically processed into a fiber. And so in this case, they start with bamboo, but it turns into viscose, AKA similar to plastic. And it's actually not sustainable. It's just kind of marketing in reality. And then on the side of things, cotton is great. We all love cotton. It's a natural fiber. The only thing there is it's very not chemical, but resource intensive. So hemp compared to cotton uses 5 times less water and 3 times less land to produce the same output. Hemp is also fully carbon negative because it sequesters 7 tons an acre, while cotton actually emits 300 pounds an acre. So kind of across the board from the sustainability standpoint, and especially from an agricultural standpoint, hemp is a lot more sustainable.
Yeah. It's crazy how they let us put all these things in our body, like the amount of plastic.
Yeah.
Like it's really crazy. And I mean, organic cotton is good, but obviously I've never tried hemp, so it seems that hemp is better, let's say.
Yes.
So you got the idea of using hemp in a consumer good, let's say.
Yeah.
And you created the product. How did that go? You said, okay, let's do hemp. It's good. It's better.
Mm-hmm.
You created a prototype. Like how does it function in these types of products?
Yeah. So I think we did not know what we were getting into when we started the company. I think we thought it would be a lot more straightforward than it was. Most CPG companies, they say, I want this product. I'm going to go to a manufacturer and purchase the product, maybe make a few tweaks, and then sell it. And that's it. Really, you're just paying somebody else to produce it. For us, we
Exactly.
really had to start from ground zero because nobody had ever used hemp before, and it was just legalized. So nobody had experience with it. And it was an uphill battle. So it started with purchasing fibers and testing the fibers to see how clean they were, if they were high absorbency, like all the different things that we need in these products. Next step is getting on some trial lines and testing it to make nonwovens, which are basically like the sheets that make your products, how they like that cloth material. From there, trial products. From there, kind of taking every single step of like a larger and larger production line until we could get into commercial production and prove that the technology would work. And so we did actually develop the specs completely in-house. We worked with an amazing consultant who's an ex-J&J director of innovation, and did everything in-house, got provisional patents on our materials, and then took it to a manufacturer and said, here's how you do it. And then thankfully we found somebody who was willing to, because that was another really big barrier, was nobody wanted to deal with it. They were like, we don't want to work with a little tiny startup. We're working with the Always of the world. No,
yes, exactly.
We found somebody passionate about sustainability, willing to take the risk on us. And so, started producing with them.
That must have been very frustrating. Like I keep imagining you creating something and then doing it again and testing, and it's all of these things and all the rejections you must have gotten from like these people, like they want to work with like P&G and all of these people. They're afraid of you basically because you may not pay them, or you may not, all of these things.
Absolutely.
So I like, that must have been really frustrating, but I'm happy you're there and you have like a few products, that are available now on your website. There's a question that I ask everybody almost on the podcast. Who is your first client who's not like a friend or family member or anyone you know?
Yeah, well, because we're an online site. I don't know specifically who it was. Definitely in the early days, we did, you know, all the posts everywhere, social media posts. So it was a lot of our connections and friends and family.
Yeah.
But I think through that, we had some initial clients or customers relatively soon. And we also launched advertising and everything at
Mm.
the get-go. So
Oh, so you did everything from the beginning, like ads and all of
yeah,
it.
for the most part, there's been a lot of iteration, but yes, we kind of
Yeah.
launched fully at once.
Okay.
So yeah, luckily, really quickly, we got new
Mm.
customers.
Okay, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, since you went into the ads and the marketing and all of it, tell me a little bit more. How did you go about that? Like, did you grow your accounts, let's say, organically? How did you decide? Like, there's a lot. There's first of all your brand, and then there's the social media. Let's start with the social media part.
Yeah.
How did you start with that? Did you go organic and then went ads, or you did everything together?
We definitely started organic because it took us 4+ years to actually launch the
Yeah.
business. I was just running the Instagram by myself organically for that time. And we did organically grow. And I kind of just would do content about hemp, content about our products, and also really trying to find people that were passionate about sustainability and maybe hemp users already.
Yeah.
So that's how we started. But once we were able to launch in the market, that's when we started doing advertisements. And we've actually scaled back a little bit. I think I've heard some of your other conversations where people had similar experiences. It's just very
Yes.
like super competitive, very high cost. I think consumers are more fatigued than ever with the amount of advertisements they get. So we're trying to be creative with how we're marketing, but we still have a presence on all platforms with
Mm.
advertising.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true. Like every single person I talk to, especially because they're mostly small businesses, they go through the same thing. It's
Mhm.
very difficult. It's highly competitive. The prices are increasing.
Well,
It's going really crazy.
I think part of it too is if you have a low priced good, which we do,
Yeah.
it's a box of pads. And so our box is $10 on our website and goes down 10.75.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to see return on investment when you have such low priced products.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
that's something that was definitely a learning lesson for us. And that's why, yeah, we've tried to go into other areas like influencer affiliate,
Yeah.
Amazon, stuff like that.
Yeah. That's pretty interesting because the cost per acquisition can be much higher and it's really not worth it for a $10 product. So,
Exactly.
yeah. Yeah. All right. Let's go to the other side of the marketing. How did you decide on like the branding, all the designs, like what are you gonna do about your brand, the colors, everything?
That's like my favorite part and actually where my job is.
Yeah.
I'm kind of marketing, finance, my co-founders, operations, sales. And so that was all my wheelhouse. When we looked at the market and the period care space specifically, we saw a few things. One is the traditional brands that are kind of that like aggressive, weird, old branding, very like 90s, 2003 esque. And then the newer brands, it was very like medical and clinical, very simple. They
Yeah.
wanted to play down the period, they wanted it to look like any other box. And then you also had people that were really like in your face, girly, we bleed, that kind of vibe.
Yes.
We wanted something that spoke more to like a holistic, sustainable consumer
Mm,
because we didn't think that like that that branding was there. And so our kind of focus, if you can tell from our packaging, our gradients, all that is being like very holistic.
yeah.
Our slogan is products that cycle with you and the earth. And so we wanted that to really come through in
Yeah.
our branding. So it was really myself and my co-founder just like what we like, what we want, what we see missing in the market.
Mm,
Obviously, we did some like testing to make sure other people resonated with it, but I will say we're kind of our target audience being young women. And so we really just went with what we thought would look
yeah.
cool.
Yeah, I kind of see it. Like usually I go the first time, I'm booking like a guest on a website or I just see a brand randomly on social media. I always go, I'm curious because it's my job. I go and I check their websites, I see what they're doing, and rare are the brands where I go and I'm like, okay, their values are this is what they believe in, this is what the brand is all about. And
Mm-hmm.
yours, like I kind of understood like what it's about. I love the slogan, I love the colors. It's not something that's very like, if you are selling in retail like on the shelves, I can
Mm-hmm.
see the difference. This is what I
Right.
imagined.
Right.
um it's not for everybody, because not everybody will understand why should I use hemp,
Mm-hmm.
and why shouldn't I use hemp, and all of these things. But I do see that your ideal person will identify this, and it will catch their attention, and they will definitely buy it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's that's a good thing.
I
I'm
know.
telling you, it's rare. I don't see this often, but yeah, when I see it, I'd like to talk about it.
Definitely.
um so you talked previously about failed attempts, things that you did that wasted like a very big amount of money for you, or a small amount. But small businesses, even a small amount is a big amount.
Right.
So what was like the one thing that was like, oh my God, that was very hurtful? Like the amount you lost was
Yeah.
very hurtful for you.
I mean, the main one I would say is legal. And just for entrepreneurs in general, it's like, you're one lawsuit, not even
Yeah.
lawsuit, it could even be just like something minor, but you're one issue away from going bankrupt, honestly. Or that's what it feels like when you're a small business.
Yeah.
And so in the early days of us starting up, we had to deal with some like weird legal stuff. And it was so out of left field for us. We were young women that really, were shocked at the situation and didn't know what to do. And so we got representation, and it ended up, yeah, like bankrupting basically the business. And that's, like I mentioned, I had to go back to work because we couldn't afford to pay ourselves anymore.
Yeah.
And, obviously it's all like a learning lesson, and it all happened, I think, hopefully for a reason. We're in a much better place now because of the changes that
Yeah.
made us do. But I would say like legal is huge, and at least all the entrepreneurs I know maybe don't expect it and don't like plan for it. And if I had to go back, I would always give myself like literally $100,000, if not $50,000 buffer, just in case
For
there's
that.
any type of legal dispute.
Mm, all
Hmm.
right. This
Yeah,
is the first time. Like
I know.
they always say, "Oh, we paid this person," or we did PR, or we did ads, and we lost here and we lost there. But this is the first time somebody came here on the podcast with a legal
Yeah,
issue. But it's true that we tend to not think about it. Like we have our brand, we love it. We just want to like put it out there, and we don't think about everything that goes with it.
yes.
Speaking of money and finances, because you're talking about it, how did you fund this?
Mhm.
You did get your like a job to just survive for yourself, but how did you fund the brand?
Yeah. So starting it in college, we were luckily applicable for a lot of grants and pitch competitions and stuff like
Mm,
that. So really early days when we were students, we did all of that. I would say we probably maybe got fifteen to $20,000 in total from all of the different
okay.
activities we did, which was really significant at the beginning of
Yeah.
our business.
Yeah. Of
Um,
course.
from there, bootstrapping it, I worked, full time at Bank of America. And so I was able to save money and put it into the business for like the ongoing costs that we were incurring. And then we did a friends and family round in 2020. Actually, we were in the San Diego Angel Conference. So out of
Mm-hmm.
150 teams, we were picked as finalists, the top six, and got the opportunity to raise money. And so we ended up not raising money through the specific competition, but that kind of spurred us to be able to raise money. And we had a lot of investors kind of looking at us and interested. So we did a very small, honestly, friends and family round in
Yeah.
retrospect. And then that took us as far as it could. We had the legal issue, kind of didn't know what to do. We were in the place that either we raise more money, we fold the company, or we try to sell the company, something like that. And so what we actually did is enter into a partnership with our manufacturer. We were already
Mm,
doing product development with them, already kind of planning on launching the products with them, or with their like machinery.
yeah.
So we ended up, they were interested in investing, and now they are an equity holder in the company, and
Okay.
help us produce the goods. So
Okay.
I'm also really grateful for going that route because
Mm.
I'm sure, as you know, having a company is just constantly raising money. And
Yes.
now I don't have to deal with that anymore. I have one person that I have, or, one entity that I have
Hmm.
to go to rather than a ton of different
Yeah.
investors. And when we raise money, I can go to them instead of starting the process over. So, if it's applicable for anyone out there, I do, kind of recommend
Yeah.
partnering up with like a really strategic investor, manufacturer, whatever it may be, rather than, raising money every year and a half.
Yeah. It eliminates also the stress around the money because it's really stressful to just go and do this. Some
Mhm.
people do Kickstarter
Mhm.
things, or some people go to angel investors and VCs, but every time you have to pitch yourself and you have to satisfy their criteria and
Yeah,
what they want. So this is, at least you have one thing off your shoulders and you can focus on
yeah.
your brand and your products, which is truly amazing. And is it, do you manufacture? Well, in your manufacturer is also your partner, let's
Yeah.
say. Um, is it local? Like, where is it made?
It's made in the EU. And so for period care specifically, there's no production in the entire United States of these goods.
Mm,
So that wasn't really an option for us. It was either the EU or China. And
yeah,
we really wanted to be in the EU because they have the highest health and safety regulations
yeah,
in the world.
yeah,
And our manufacturer has like all the certifications you can think of, powered by renewable energy, EcoCert, GOTS,
yeah.
vegan, everything that we could have, wanted. So we decided to go with them,
Mm.
for all those reasons.
Yeah, they're really good in the EU. They have really high standards in terms of sustainability and the environment and all of that.
And much
Wow,
higher than
that's
the US too, which is like,
yeah,
so
exactly.
it gives us a better
That's
product.
that's pretty surprising that there isn't a single person who makes this in North America. Like, it's crazy. I
Yeah,
just
there's like
like
one in Canada, one in Tijuana. There is one in the United States, but the thing is, it's all kind of like the in-house production of these giant
mm,
conglomerates. So
yeah,
we're not, they wouldn't work with us. If you're looking
mm,
for kind of like a manufacturer for your goods, you would have to look overseas, like no matter what. And
yeah.
almost all of the entire period care industry is sourced from China. There's a few manufacturers that basically all the brands purchase from. So
Okay.
that was another thing. We didn't want to be the same exact product everybody else has,
Yeah.
slight tweaks. We wanted to be our own proprietary
Yeah.
product, and claims.
Like, even the organic cotton products and all of that, these are made in China too?
Most of them, yes. Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. I should look into that.
Yeah.
Um,
Some are in the EU, but once again, vast majority is China.
Mm, okay, I didn't know that they have like a sustainable, industry to make these kind of products. This is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
All right then. So since your partners are in the EU, do you sell there or do you plan on selling there?
Yeah.
What's going on?
That's actually a project we're working on. So right now we're only available in the United States.
Mm,
And, we sell online through our store, marketplaces, Amazon, and into retail. Now we're trying to grow our retail presence. But yeah, because we're in the EU, they kind of came to us and said, why don't we sell this here? So we're working on that. Of course, it just takes like some regulatory changes
yes.
because we have all the regulations, but for example, we just need separate packaging that has all the EU
Mm,
standards and all the translations of
the
all the
languages.
languages. And so that's why it's just like a little bit more of a lift than English speaking places. But we
Yeah.
are working on that. I'm hoping by definitely within the year, but I don't know exactly a
Oh,
clear date yet. Yeah.
that's pretty good. That's pretty cool. Yeah,
Yes.
the EU's challenge is the language. Like, here in Canada, we have the two languages. So every brand from the US has to create a different package with like the two languages. But EU
Right.
becomes, it's a whole other level because there's so many different languages there. It's not just English and French. Like, there's
Hmm.
German and there's, all Italian and Spanish and, all of those things.
Well,
So it
and we
becomes a
actually,
whole,
sorry,
no,
we've
no,
looked
go
into
ahead.
this as well, and completely right. Canada has like Health Canada, so you have to
Yeah.
meet Canada's certifications, and then you also need to do all of the French English translation. And I've
Yes.
heard that they're very specific. Like it
Yeah.
needs to be not French, but like French Canadian, and
Yes.
like integrated into the packaging. And so yeah, that's something we've also looked at. We don't have any plans yet, but
Yes.
yes, each country has its own
Mm.
challenges.
Yeah. Well, from experience, Canada is challenging. The product specs should be very specific and what's on the
Mhm.
box, and the French, how it's written, where it's placed on the box, all of these things.
Right.
So yeah, yeah, it is challenging. I do understand that. So Marilyn, what's next for Hempress other than Europe?
Retail expansion. I think something interesting is that when we started the business, we thought that this was like a great subscription play and we could be an
Mm,
e-commerce business with this great subscription. And what we've seen from the data now that we've like received it and purchased it is it just doesn't really work for period care, at least in our demographic of the United States. People want
yeah,
to purchase it online or on Amazon. And there's been businesses before us that focused on the e-commerce subscription, and they've actually like not done great, ran out of business, or had to completely pivot and change into other products or pivot and get into retail. And so basically, I think a big sales channel or the main sales channel for us will be in retail.
yeah,
So we've started that process. We're in over 100 locations right now, but we're hoping to just keep expanding that presence,
yeah.
you know, as much as
That's a
possible.
great. That's great. Well, retail is a whole other challenge, and they have their requirements, and
Yes.
so you're opening so many challenging doors, but it's all great because your brand is growing, and you're going to a much better place. So this is really amazing, and I'm really happy for you.
Thank you.
So as you've watched or listened to previous
Yes.
episodes, I'm sure you know that towards the end we ask 3 questions,
Uh-huh.
and you'll have to answer them. Are
Absolutely.
you ready for it?
Yes.
All right. So how would your friends describe what you do for a living?
Say she sells hemp pads. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
If it's summarized with that,
I
everything you
think so.
do.
They just, that's our hero product, and
Yeah. Yeah.
they hear all the spiels and stuff. So I would say that that's how they would
Yeah,
sum.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I never asked. Are you trying to expand product lines?
We are actually. We have wipes that are launching this summer. So it's going to
Mm,
be like a very, a sensitive, intimate wipe, all the sustainability things, no
yeah.
fragrance, all that.
Biodegradable, all of these things.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then we're also looking to expand our period care line into, a larger pad, like an overnight pad, tampons in the
Yeah.
future. Those products take a little bit longer and also
Mm,
require some FDA and like legitimate lab testing. So
okay.
really crossing my fingers that that kind of process can speed up,
Yeah.
but most recent will be the wipes.
Yeah. All right. Wish you good luck on that. Let's move to question number 2. What is one thing your product did for a client that you didn't expect?
Yeah, this was like, I mean, really exciting for us, but we got a DM on Instagram from somebody who said, our products have been the only ones that don't irritate her because she was diagnosed with, it's
Oh.
called lichen sclerosis. And it's basically
Mm,
like kind of like psoriasis, but it can be in your
okay.
intimate areas. Um,
Whoa.
yeah, and basically she said she's tried all the like clean organic brands and they still have irritated her or given her some type of reaction, and our products were the only ones that haven't. So that was
Mm,
huge for us and made us
yeah.
just like reignited our like commitment to maintaining like the most clean, fully organic, like
Yeah.
transparent product as possible,
Yeah.
because obviously when everybody else is doing something different or like cutting corners, having a much cheaper product because they aren't using completely organic fibers, it's like, oh,
Yeah.
that would be nice, but no, we want to stay very like committed to that because it
Mm.
makes an impact to our consumers.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
really love this. Like
Yeah.
we don't think about these things, but the impact a simple product such as like a period care product makes, it's
Ah,
It's really amazing.
Yeah.
Question number 3, is there a book that changed your life that you would recommend to our audience?
Yes. Okay, I have one that's, I think, a little maybe cliche in that a lot of people maybe probably have heard it, read it, but it's The Body Keeps the Score, or Your Body
Okay.
Keeps the Score. And it basically talks about how, not at all to do with my business,
Yeah.
but how your body can like react to trauma, emotion, and things like that,
Mm,
and how it can actually create like disease and medical issues. And so that was
yeah.
just an insane revelation as a human being to read that book. And then this is a completely other book, not at all about business once again, and it's actually a historical fiction called Under the Scarlet Sky, but it's just a beautiful book and about an Italian man in World War II who helps take down, a lot of basically Nazis in Italy.
Wow. Yeah.
I know, totally out of left field, but it's like the best book I've ever read, so I just always recommend it.
All right, perfect. We'll link to that in the description. So tell us where we can find Hempress. You already mentioned your website. Just
Yes.
like tell us more.
So everything is Hempress Hygienics. So hempresshygienics.com, Hempress Hygienics on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. We're on Amazon, Hempress Hygienics. If you just search Hempress, you'll probably find us too if
Hmm.
hygienics is hard to spell. So yeah, that's where you can find all of our stuff. And then I'm Marilyn Austin across platforms as well.
Amazing. We'll link to all of that again in the description. Thank you, Marilyn, for being a guest on the podcast, and to all the listeners. I'll be back next week with a new episode.